Hello everyone. Today we will take up active and passive voice. Just compare these two sentences. Ram helps Hari. Hari is helped by Ram. It will be seen that these two sentences express the same meaning, but in sentence 1, the form of the verb shows that the person denoted by the subject does something. He is the doer of the action. Ram helps Ravi. Means Ram is here doing something. He is helping Ravi. The verb helps is said to be in the active voice. In sentence 2, the form of the verb shows that something is done to the person denoted by the subject. As for example, the verb helped is said to be in the passive voice. Hari is helped by Ram. A verb is in the active voice when it shows that the person or thing denoted by the subject does something, or in other words, he is the doer of the action. The active voice is so called because the person denoted by the subject, he does the action, or he is the doer of the action. A verb is in the passive voice when it shows that something is done to the person or thing denoted by the subject. The passive voice is so called because the person or thing denoted by the subject is not the active but passive. That is, he is the sufferer or receiver of the action. Something is done to the subject. Voice is that form of a verb which shows whether denoted by the subject does something or has something done to it. It will be noticed that when the verb is changed from active voice to the passive voice, the object of the transitive verb in the active voice becomes the subject of the verb in the passive voice. As for example, we did Ram helps Ravi. When it is changed into passive voice, Ravi will become the subject and Ram will become the object. So it will be Ravi is helped by Ram. Thus, in sentence 1, which is the object of helps in the active voice, becomes the subject of help in the passive voice. Since the object of a verb is in the active voice, it becomes the subject of passive form. It follows that only transitive verbs can be changed into passive voice because an intransitive verb has no object. The passive voice is formed with suitable tense of the verb be followed by the past participle. As for example, simple present changes to simple past. As for example, we will see that Savitri loves Sita, and it will be changed into Savitri is loved by Sita. Students, you must know that when to use the active voice and when to use the passive voice. The ability to change the active voice into the passive and vice versa is not sufficient. The active voice is used when the agent, that is, the doer of the action, is to be made prominent. The passive when the person or thing acted upon, or the doer or the person who is the sufferer, he is to be made prominent. The passive is therefore generally preferred when the active form would involve the use of indirect or vague pronoun starting with someone, somebody, anyone, etc. And the subject, that is when we do not know the agent or when it is clear enough who the agent is. My pen has been stolen. My pen has been stolen by somebody. Instead of writing somebody, we just avoid it. I was asked by name. By them, we can omit by them. I was asked my name. In such cases, the agent with by is usually avoided. So we see that the verb which has a transitive can be changed to passive. Sometimes when the verbs that take both a direct and indirect object in the active voice are changed to the passive, either object may become the subject of passive voice while the other is retained. As for example, Mr. Krishna teaches us grammar. So there are two objects, us and grammar, direct and indirect. So we can change into passive by using either grammar as the subject or us as the subject. We can change it into we are taught grammar by Mr. Krishna or grammar is taught to us by Mr. Krishna. Similarly, the Darban refused him admittance. We can start the sentence with admittance. Admittance was refused to him by the guard, or he was refused admittance by the guard. The manager will give you a ticket. So there are two objects, you and a ticket. We can start the passive voice by a ticket also. A ticket will be given to you by the manager, or we can start it with you will be given a ticket by the manager. Who taught you French? We can start it with by whom was French taught to you, or by whom were you taught French. Both ways it is correct. He handed her a chair. He handed her a chair. So there are two objects, her and a chair. We can start it with a chair was handed to her, or she was handed a chair. Sometimes the verb, they do not take any transitive. As for example, the window is broken. He is gone. So the verb is broken in passive voice. Do not, however, make the mistake of supposing that the verb is gone is in the passive voice. The verb go is intransitive, and only a transitive verb can be changed into passive voice.